Good evening, I'm Pinky Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. To some, surveys are a tool to measure the pulse of the people, a necessary instrument in making decisions supported by data. But there are those who continue to cast doubt on the numbers coming from survey firms. Critics say surveys are being used to influence the public's choice. Recently, the Commission on Elections required polling firms to register and report their findings. Let's now get on point with Assistant Professor Ranjit Rye, President of OCTA Research, who joins us via Zoom. Professor Ranjit, good evening. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, good evening, Pinky. Good evening to our televiewers, to all those people who are watching us from all around the world. Thank you for having me.
Much welcome, sir. I want to start with this recent development about survey firms having to register with the COMELEC. That's COMELEC Resolution number 11117, I believe, that mandates survey firms to register with the COMELEC. Is this something that OCTA has done?
Yeah, we're in the process of doing so. In fact, we've tried to contact the Office of the Chairman, COMELEC, Chair George Garcia, and we were advised that, the resolution is still being promulgated and, important dates haven't been set yet. While OCTA will comply, our own request is that COMELEC find a way to consult with all of us, so we can coordinate more effectively and efficiently with regards to implementing or helping COMELEC implement this new resolution. Our only hope is that it won't curtail our rights as both citizens and as organizations to express the research findings that come out of our surveys, which we feel is an expression of our freedom of speech, and at the same time a important responsibility of survey firms to inform the public about how the Filipino public has evolved opinion on a range of topics. So surveys are an important tool, and yes, we are one with COMELEC in helping to ensure fair and honest elections. But at the same time, we would like to have an opportunity to consult with and discuss with COMELEC on how best for all of us survey firms to realize the intent of this particular resolution.
Professor, can we get on point with that? What is the fear there?
The organization has not come out with a position as of yet. And, because the resolution is being promulgated, and I hear that there will be some process of consultation being organized by COMELEC. I'd like to...
Consultation with them?
No, yeah, with the survey firms that are going to be affected. So I think there's a plan to consult with all of us, bring us together in a meeting to consult with us how best to realize the intent of the resolution. Mm-hmm. There are elements that need clarification, like the verification process. We need clarification on that. I don't think there's any fear, because I think the responsibility of survey firms is to be transparent, accountable, to expose their scientific process, their methodology, and of course, it's also important as part of the Fair Elections Act to disclose if the survey is indeed commissioned and by whom,
right,
for the benefit of the public.
But definitely that's going to be part of it. But when you mentioned something a while ago that you were hoping for some sort of consultation with the survey firms together with the COMELEC, you mentioned something about the possible data that may be needed, and you used the words, I'm not sure if these are the exact ones, but you said curtailment of or even freedom. That's why I was saying, what is the concern there? Just to be able to understand it better, sir.
Yeah, the clarification of how the resolution will be implemented, what are the requirements. We hope that in the process of complying with the COMELEC resolution, which is a decision that our organization has already made, that we are able to freely provide the public, and the public can access our data, okay, in the manner that they do so before this resolution. So again, there's no fear. It's just more a clarification.
Okay.
How are we going to report, for example? There's a requirement in the resolution for us to report after we release survey results. So what is a template for the report? Diba?
Yeah.
What is the rigor and the inclusions in the report?
It's a basically,
Implication. Yeah.
sir,
Yeah.
Professor was just saying a comprehensive report within 5 days from publication. In other words, pag naglabas po ang OCTA Research ng survey findings to the public, within 5 days, you should rather submit to the COMELEC a comprehensive report, I guess, on how it was done and all other matters pertaining to it.
Yeah, I get that's the quick question, Pinky. What's included in the report? And I think there's a cognizance on the part of COMELEC that they'll provide us a template. So again, we have to discuss all of this with them so that we can comply with requirements. And OCTA is not, it is with COMELEC in terms of complying. But we have to know the extent. We want to know the scope and limits of any report, scope and limits of any verification process. And the hope is, of course, that we are still going to be able to provide the public free of charge, accessible, accurate data on people's preferences during this very important process in the life of our republic, which is called the elections. So OCTA's basic goal is to provide that information the way we provided
In the
our
past.
data during in the past.
Yeah.
And I guess survey firms should be judged really on their performance, and OCTA has only been in one national election, and we did very, very well in that last election. Most of our surveys seem to all of our surveys actually reflected what eventually became the outcome of the May 2022 elections, and we hope that performance from OCTA will continue today.
So
And
you
so
were-
again, transparent, accountable, and of course, providing accessible, useful data for the public.
Given that we are still unsure, are you still unsure of the scope or limitations of this, what COMELEC will require of the survey firms? But initially, you are of the position that this is positive, that the COMELEC is requiring survey groups now to register with them. Is this a step in the right direction?
Well, I think honestly, just a personal position, not the position of OCTA. Unless we clarify certain elements of the resolution, I can't take a position if we're moving in the right direction. It depends on the details, and that will be something that we will discuss with our friends in the COMELEC very soon. I hear that they are going to organize some sort of meet and consultation. That being said, the resolution is still being promulgated, and we have to give the COMELEC the chance to, release this and follow a promulgation process. Once we are able to consult with them, once the consultation and deliberation process starts, we'll get a better understanding about the intent and the scope and limits of the elements that make up this resolution, which, by the way, is in my view, quite strict and very new. Nabigla kami lahat dito. And we hope that COMELEC will provide us the opportunity, the time to comply. Because all of us want to comply. And I think if you're saying, should we be accountable and transparent, I think that's a step in the right direction. But right now, we are already that. We provide the media, and you also get a copy, Pinky, of our reports. And I think that is as transparent and as accountable as we can. Now, if there's something more than that we are required to provide, we shall do so also. We shall comply. So we need details. We need clarity as far as these issues are concerned.
You need more
But the spirit
information
is, of course,
regarding this. Yeah.
But the spirit is, of course, supportive.
Yeah, and given that, of course, it will give the public, I guess, the opportunity to have a number of survey firms that, I guess, can be trusted, or at least if they don't, if the methodology isn't comprehensive enough or credible enough, it probably wouldn't pass the registration process in the COMELEC. So fair enough, Professor. Tell us more about OCTA. How long has this survey group been around? Of course, I remember a lot of it during the COVID pandemic.
Can you imagine? We haven't met each other in person, but we've been working with each other for the last 2 or 3 years. Actually, constantly when you were with another channel, no. But Okta has been probably as you have probably noted, the time we started speaking COVID is about the time we came into being, about 2020, in the midst of COVID. Although the basic elements of Okta started in 2019, but it only got its business permit in 2020. No, that was September 2020. So we're just a few years old, and we're very proud of our performance. We hope we were correct in 2022. We're going to be correct in 2025. Not just us, but the whole science of surveys and statistics in general. So we're hoping that in this particular national midterm election, we will be extolling science again and providing the public why, or the reasons why surveys are relevant. Yeah.
And let's see how accurate you will be in 2025.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, though, before I leave this subject on these surveys that are being conducted, how many surveys do you normally, as compared to 2022, do you normally come up with, let's say, from the months of January till election month of May? How many do you release, and how many were commissioned in 2022 and are commissioned in 2025? Is that something you can share with us?
Well, I don't have the actual data with me, but in this particular cycle, 2025, will have 2 more surveys within the period. The first one will be sometime in Feb, which is a regular quarterly, first quarter survey, the Tugunang Masa survey, and then possibly, if we can get funding, for 1 more. So please expect at least 1 or 2 more surveys from us before election day.
Professor, pag sinasabi niyo pong that depends on funding, how are you actually funded?
Yes, okay. So our business model is fairly simple. We get subscribers, and our subscribers are not, limited to public servants. They're actually, most of our subscribers, 90% of our subscribers, from the private sector. So they ask us to do surveys on a range of issues, mostly focused on their business. And we ride on, of course, providing probes, or coming out with probes that we can provide the public. So, for example, in our last survey, we talked about AKAP, which is a public, it's an issue that the public is interested in. That's non-commissioned, meaning that part of the survey is ours. So the business model is we have a subscription fee, and that subscription fee only provides those subscribers with 3 questions. And if we have enough subscribers, we can have a national survey, and that's why. Yeah.
So, Professor, do I get this right? Pag meron pong nagpapasurvey po sa inyo, sometimes nasasama nyo na po doon sa survey na yon some maybe relevant questions or topics or controversies that are currently being discussed. Parang isinasakay nyo po. Tama ho ba yun?
Yeah, tama yun. So,
Okay.
nire-ride namin. So, but our surveys generally, about 1/4 of our survey questions are really our own probes, our own publicly accessible probes. So,
All right.
poverty studies, our probes on trust and approval of government agencies and officials. Third, of course, is, and this is what is important for us to clarify with COMELEC, our own survey on the senatorial and party list preferences are non-commissioned, meaning nobody owns it, and rightly so. So, because if somebody owns it, if somebody that will cast a doubt on the integrity of the probe. So a survey is made up of different probes. Most of the probes are commissioned by companies, by different businesses, but the publicly accessible probe, our public service, OCTA, is for free, and we give it to the public for free. So that's what we release every now and then.
Are you saying
Not
then
all of the
that,
survey.
sorry, sir, are you saying then that no candidate has commissioned OCTA for a survey?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the senatorial survey is non-commissioned. The party list survey is non-commissioned. That's a policy in OCTA. Nobody has influence over that. So that's not part of what we provide for commissioned rider questions.
Yes.
So this
Yes.
is what we do, and this is our business model, and it's not different from the business model of most survey companies.
Pero,
We've been transparent with it ever since.
but Professor, if a senatorial candidate wants to commission a survey from OCTA, they can do that. But you
Of
will
course,
tell,
course.
of course, you will just inform the public that this is a commissioned survey by senatorial candidate so-and-so.
And we have done so
Okay.
in the past, not just in the past, just in the recent past. We have already had some local surveys that have been released to the public, and we have already informed the media on who has commissioned or who
Commission
was
po yan. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yun lang naman, pag non-commission, for example, yun ang sinasabi naman namin. But a lot of our surveys now are commissioned, and even government agencies ask us. So a bulk of our work is really commissioned by government and by the private sector, who, by the way, are very interested also in the outcomes of the midterm election. So it is what it is, no? So it's an important exercise in our democracy, and there's a lot of stakeholders who are interested in understanding the dynamics of this ongoing phenomena, this ongoing process.
And very recently, there was a survey on, are you pro-Marcos or pro-Duterte, or are you undecided? There was also a senatorial survey. There was also a party list survey, and what you mentioned a while ago, AKAP. Let's discuss that rather after the break with Professor Ranjit Rye. In a moment, stay tuned. This is On Point.
Ito po si Father Nono.
Ako po si Father Fiel Pareha.
Ako si Risa Singson Kaupeng.
Kape at pandasal na po tayo. Ito po si Cardinal Chito Tagli.
Welcome back. You're watching On Point. Still with us, OCTA President Professor Ranjit Rye. Let's talk about that pro-Marcos or pro-Duterte survey. Let's look into this because 36% when asked support the Marcoses. 18% support Duterte. 26% said neither. And 12% said, I don't know. So when you actually look at this, the 18% that support Duterte, if you double that, that's what the Marcos administration gets because of support. 18% and 36%. This is accurate, no, Professor?
Yeah, okay. Let me give some context lang.
Please.
To all those listening, this was a survey conducted last, January.
Jan 25.
25 to 31. 1,200 respondents. The margin of error is ±3. And this is part of a continuing probe we had since last year, since January 2024. So first quarter, second quarter, third quarter 2024, we had data. And we stopped in the fourth quarter of 2024 and just resumed in January of 2025. So this is the last survey was done in the third quarter of 2024. And so when you look at that, I have some, you have the tables. I know I sent tables. You'll see that there's hardly any change from the third quarter
Okay.
on a national level, from the third quarter to the third quarter of 2024 to the first quarter of 2025. Um, be that as it may, because the changes are within the margin of error of plus minus 3. So they're statistically the
No
same. But then
change.
we noted that there was a 2 percentage point decline in those supporting the pro Marcos.
Right.
Okay. And then there was a plus 3
3.
percentage points increase in the pro Duterte
Correct.
side. So we just want to show people that while it is statistically the same because it's in the margin of error, that there were some changes. And when you go to the granular level, you'll see two things. Number one, that those who prefer the Duterte family and their political alliance, or what they classify themselves as pro Duterte, there was a surge in Class E during the period of the survey. That was January. There was also a consolidation, meaning more votes, more preference increased in Mindanao, also in the Visayas. So we wanted to highlight this because the basic generalization or the basic trend that we saw is that for the last 2 quarters of 2024, the Duterte preference has been declining. In the first quarter of 2025, the decline stopped.
Tumaas
we
sila.
feel, oh yeah,
In
we
fact,
feel it's turning
tumaas.
around. Yeah, we feel it's turning around. So, and while that isn't definitive yet, maybe in the next survey in Feb or March, we will be able to see if that trend has in fact reversed.
Interesting
Uh,
data. That's
yeah,
interesting data.
interesting.
Yeah.
And important also to note that this basic question is ano yung nagsasalarawan or naglalarawan ng sinusuportahan ninyo, pinaka naglalarawan ng sinusuportahan nyo sa politika. Ideally, in a mature democracy, it should be political parties. But since we tested that already, nobody really identifies with political parties. What they identify with are families. So this is a reaffirmation of an old image, a continuing image of Philippine politics, that people identify with families and alliances and networks of families rather than
Political
organized
parties.
organizations like political
Yeah.
parties.
Because there's so much turncoatism here.
Yeah.
Eh,
Among other things. So yeah, and so yeah.
Okay.
So this is a preference survey, and that's why we feel that this will change over time. But the big question is, bakit nag-surge
Yeah.
for Duterte preference? Yeah.
So I want to summarize that again from what you said, because I did look at the data prior to this last year, no? So in other words, last year nung third quarter, last year bumababa po yung pro Duterte. However,
Yeah.
pagdating ng January 25 to 31, the time the survey was conducted, umakyat po ang pro Duterte from 15 to 18.
Yes,
Again,
yes.
I understand what you're saying. That's still part of the plus minus 3 marginal error. Pero paakyat pa rin siya. Hindi ho ba?
Yes, yes. The trend has changed as
Yeah.
far as that preference is concerned. It's not declining anymore. It was declining for 2 successive quarters. And so what we're seeing now is that what could have fueled this? No? Of course, we can just hypothesize. The context, of course, of that January or last January was, of course, the discussions on the budget crisis, the uncertainty about the impeachment. And you can
Right.
see that. Look at the trend lines. No? So as you can see, pababa yung trend line ng pro Duterte, but it suddenly moved up, no? Or it's moving up.
Yeah.
And while the pro Marcos is still the it's still a bigger number. No?
It's still double of the pro Duterte.
Yeah. But I think to a great extent, the budget crisis, the issues about poverty and self-inflicted poverty and hunger, which we also released our probes recently, tumaas kasi siya noong fourth quarter. So all of this put together, including the rallies for and against impeachment, may have to a great extent changed the narrative
Okay.
as far as the momentum for the pro-Duterte preference. That's a hypothesis.
And also very interesting what you said a while ago, Professor, when you said there was an increase in the E
Yeah,
Opo.
yeah, it's, almost 20 percentage points. Yeah, it's a significant increase.
And
A very significant.
I
It's very
guess,
significant.
and if you were to theorize what it would probably be, please correct me if I'm wrong, Professor, maybe yung pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin? Could that be
Yes,
it?
of course, inflation is a big issue.
Inflation.
It
All right.
still is. And then, of course, the problem with hunger and poverty. Self-rated poverty and hunger went up significantly in the fourth quarter of 2024.
All right. Well, just very quickly, we have about a minute left. I wanted to talk about, I'll skip the senatorial and the party list because you had mentioned a while ago AKAP. Also very interesting numbers here because awareness of AKAP is at 79%. Ang taas po nun compared
Yeah,
to...
we were surprised by that also. Yeah, we were surprised by that. Actually, we didn't expect that. We thought, it's a young program and a very controversial one at that. And maybe part of it is also controversy, but it's significant and across all regions and across all socioeconomic classes.
And more than that is that, do you agree to continue and expand the Ayuda sa Kaposangkita program or AKAP by the DSWD or not? And it comes out to 69% yes, gusto nilang ipagpatuloy at palawakin pa ang AKAP compared to, 31% said no. That's
Yes.
not a small number either, Professor, yung 31%.
No, that's not a small number, and that's a very definite position. No, but still, the majority of those we surveyed, 7 out of 10 adult Filipinos, support the continuation expansion of AKAP. And we are still studying. We're estimating that it has reached around 15% of adult Filipinos by this time. So we're still verifying our data. We'll try to come up with that report. But that's a significant amount of, distribution already over a short period of time. And so this is, I think, while I have misgivings about dole-out programs in general, but this is what our kababayans are saying
That's the
about
sentiment. Yeah, that's coming out in the data. Professor, we're going to have to go. I'd like to thank you so much for joining me this evening. And I hope we get to talk again once it's cleared up, the scope, the limitations, the restrictions of this registration with the COMELEC by the survey firms. Thank you so much, Professor Ranjit Rye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.